Namaste, it's Michelle Skaletski-Boyd, intuitive medium and best-selling author, and today I want to talk about gaslighting. So I am by no means an expert on this. I just want you to know that in the same way we all have narcissism in us, we also have the ability to gaslight, and we're doing it unconsciously. I'm not talking about the extreme of gaslighting, just like when I've talked about narcissism, it's not the extreme of it. I'm talking about subtle energies that we're not consciously aware of, in which we sometimes behave in certain ways, why it is that we do that. So gaslighting is energetically, it is a form of energy manipulation. It's allowing us to deflect where we don't want to take personal responsibility or accountability. What happens when we invalidate someone's feelings because we're on the defense? Many people have heard about being a good listener, and how in order to be a good listener, we have to hold the space in the present moment to listen to understand rather than to listen to respond or react. And what I noticed about myself recently, and this really helped me understand gaslighting and be able to understand those people who do it much more, is many of you don't know this, but I'm going to share because it's a backstory that I feel is going to be relevant to what I'm going to be teaching here. So I believe that in order for me to be a good spiritual teacher, many of you know I'm a hypnotherapist, in order for me to do that, in order for me to have clients who have been with me for 10, 15 years and they continue to evolve and grow as souls, why don't they cap out? How is it that they continue to ascend and continue to better themselves? It's because I too continue to do my inner work, and of which means going to a counselor at minimum one time a month. And then every once in a while, we do counseling as a family. And recently, when we were with our counselor as a family, it came to my attention that my daughter was upset with me. She was upset because of the way that I had treated her. And from her perspective, I had hurt her. I had really hurt her. And she was really stuck in that feeling of being hurt. And my immediate reaction, without even thinking, was, I didn't hurt you. And my counselor allowed the conversation to go and play out, because it's the counselor's job to notice the dynamics. Obviously, that's what good counselors do. And then did something really wonderful. The counselor paused and said, Michelle, your daughter is letting you know that she felt hurt. And your reply was, it didn't hurt. I'd like for her to say this to you again in a way that allows you to hold the space for her and notice how your daughter is really feeling. Now, when the counselor said it to me in this way, I realized that I had been gaslighting. In other words, I had been minimizing my daughter's feelings. I had been interrupting her ability to heal by focusing only on my agenda or how I might have come across, or wanting to change her reality or perception to my advantage. So gaslighting is a learned behavior. It can be undone, where you can allow the other person to fully express their feelings as you move through your own trauma that's going on. So what was happening for me is that my daughter's feelings were hurt, and I was minimizing that. How I had behaved toward her was a projection of something that I myself at her age had gone through, where my feelings were minimized, my feelings were ignored, my feelings were set aside and rejected. So now I find myself doing the same thing to my daughter. And rather than say, wow, yes, I've been there, this is really difficult, I did what my parents had done and what their parents had done. And I said basically to her, you're not hurting, you're fine, suck it up, buttercup kind of thing. When in actuality, what she needed from me was to allow her to feel her feelings fully, Now, why couldn't I do that? I couldn't do that because I didn't want to feel my feelings. I didn't want to go back into the trauma of my own pain. Because if I allowed her to feel her pain and held the space for her, I needed to meet her there. And in order to meet her there, I would also have to go through my own experience. And so initially, my reaction was to block that, to say, no, you're not hurting, let's move on, things are fine, to minimize and to reject it. And how many times do we do this without even understanding consciously what we're doing? Now, thankfully, this occurred in a family counseling session where a very experienced counselor caught this and allowed me to become conscious of what I was doing. So my daughter is now asked to repeat herself. And as she lets me know that she was really hurting by what occurred, I now breathe with my own feelings and I move myself into the healing space as she herself is healing. And the two of us submerge ourselves simultaneously into this place of pain. And as this is occurring, I can feel the energy shift. And as we hit this beautiful place of compassion and love, hit rock bottom, as they say, we begin to ascend. And as we both ascend in the energies of really feeling heard and understood, she can feel my authenticity. She can feel that I am now giving her true compassion, true empathy, true apology, because now I allowed her to process and integrate her feelings. This is what it means to be a conscious parent, conscious parenting. This is what it means to be present. This is what it means to give yourself permission to hold the space for someone. Yet most people are not taught this. Fortunately for me, I had a very wise person in the room who has been trained on this. And as I experienced it and allowed myself to submerge fully past my own childhood trauma and pain, I was able to hold the space with this love, with this nurturing, with this compassion. So bottom line is, why do we gaslight? We gaslight and minimize many times, in my opinion. Again, I'm not an expert on this, but I believe that it automatically occurs, an automatic protective response that we're not even consciously aware that we're doing, because we don't want to have to go back into our own trauma, our own pain, and relive it, to deny or to change the subject, to distract, etc., which then, of course, is messing with a person's perception of reality, which causes them to feel unheard, unseen, etc., which also is not healthy in any way. But I believe that it automatically occurs, and we do this and we say things like, oh, you're fine, or oh, you're not really hurt, or you didn't really mean that. There's a whole list of things that goes on, but not anybody really talks about the gaslighter and why the gaslighter does what the gaslighter does, which is why I feel it's helpful to share this so that we as a society can begin to heal this overall and stay present and authentic with each other. There's beauty in that. If you can move into that space and allow yourself permission to feel it, you will then not only heal yourself, you will help the other person heal, and it's magical. So I hope that helps you, and wherever you are, as always, enjoy the experience. Bye.